At the public hearing, on behalf of the members of this standing committee, the executive appointment and investigation, we would like to welcome Governor Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola's representative, Mr. John Paul Regis, the appointees, Associate Judge Joseph James N. Kamatsu, and Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the members of this standing committee. To my right side of the aisle is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Dauno Manglonia from the 1st Senatorial District, Rota. Next to him is the Vice Chairman of this committee, Senator Ju Yu of Snyder from the 2nd Senatorial District, Tinian. And next to him is Senator Manny Castro from the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan. And to my left side of the aisle is the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Corina Magofnia from the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan. And next to her is Senator Ronnie Calvo from the 1st Senatorial District, Rota. And I'm the chairman of this standing committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the 2nd Senatorial District, Tinian. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members is conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Associate Judge Joseph James N. Kamatsu to serve as a presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas to serve as Associate Judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support the appointee before us this afternoon. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process, and please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let's now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is April 1st, 2026. Here in the Senate chamber of the Honorable Vice Speaker Jesus P. Mafnas Memorial Building, here in the Senate chamber, Capitol Hill, Saipan, and now it's approximately 1:47 in the afternoon. This is a public hearing regarding the appointment of Associate Judge Joseph James M. Kamatsu by Governor David M. Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola to serve as a presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas to serve as Associate Judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Mr. Devin Macaronas will assisting the committee on this afternoon public hearing. Mr. Ben Tirelai will be our Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Jonathan Diaz will be covering the IT, and I believe LJs around will be covering social media. And our legal counsel will be Jobo Moody's, and they will all serve accordingly for this public hearing. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Macaronas to please call the roll.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo.
Present.
Senator Manny T. Castro.
Stick out.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider. Senator Corina L. Magofnia.
Present.
Senator Donald M. Manglonia.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, all members of the Senate EAGI committee are present.
Thank you, Devin. With 6 members present, we have the necessary numbers to proceed with this public hearing. At this time, I would like to ask the Sergeant to please escort the appointees and the governor's rep into the chamber. And again, sir, before you proceed with the introduction of the two governors appointed this afternoon, please state your name for the record. Thank you. And before I recognize, sir, I apologize. I want to ask the members for motion to adopt our agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion was seconded for the adoption of this afternoon's agenda. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Sir, you may proceed, but please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Hafaday Zantiro, Honorable Chairman Francisco Q. Cruz, Honorable Vice Chair Jude U. Hofschneider, and Honorable Senate members of the Executive Appointments and Government Investigations Committee. For record purposes, my name is Jean-Paul B. Regis, Special Assistant for Administration under the Office of the Governor. On behalf of the Honorable Governor David M. Appointee and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola, I thank you once more for conducting this final public hearing for our judicial nominees and the opportunity to appear before you today. It is with distinct honor to present the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's nominee, the Honorable Associate Judge Joseph James Norita Camacho, to serve as the presiding judge of the Superior Court, and Mr. Joey Patrick San Nicolas to serve as Associate Judge for the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Honorable Joseph James Norita Camacho is a distinguished jurist with a comprehensive academic background. He obtained his Master's of Public Administration from University of Seattle University, and a Juris Doctor from Gonzaga University School of Law. He brings over 35 years of high-level public service to the CNMI, from the front lines of law enforcement to the halls of the legislature and ultimately to the bench. Judge Camacho is currently serving his third judicial term as an associate judge for the CNMI Superior Court, where he has presided over hundreds of trials and authored more than 240 published opinions on complex criminal, civil, and cultural matters. Judge Camacho is a leading figure in the CNMI legal community, recognized for his deep commitment to the rule of law and constitutional education. Beyond the bench, he is a dedicated supporter of programs that educate our youth and the community about law, a champion of cultural preservation, and maintains a deep connection to his heritage as an active practitioner of traditional Chamorro and Carolinian seafaring. For his part, Attorney Joey P. San Nicolas brings over 30 years of distinguished public service and legal expertise to the bench, and if confirmed, he will be the first associate judge of the CNMI Superior Court nominated from the island of Tinian. Mr. San Nicolas is a graduate of the Mitchell Hamlin College of Law and cum laude alumnus of Chaminade University. His extensive career is defined by high-level leadership roles, including serving as an Attorney General for the CNMI, the Mayor of Tinian and Aguigan, and the President of the Association of Mariana Islands Mayors. This diverse background, combined with his academic foundation, equips him with a comprehensive and authoritative perspective on the Commonwealth's legal and constitutional framework. Governor Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola place their full trust and confidence in Judge Camacho and Attorney San Nicolas to serve as the presiding and associate judge for the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Judge Camacho and Attorney San Nicolas stands ready to address any questions or concerns you may have, and we respectfully seek for the committee's favorable consideration. Thank you, Jesus Masi Zangiliso, for the opportunity to introduce him to this august body, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Regis. And before I recognize the appointees, I would like to ask you both to please rise and raise your right hand so our staff can minister the oath. Thank you.
Honorable Associate Judge Joseph Narita Camacho and Attorney Joey Patrick Sinicolos, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Associate Judge Camacho and Attorney Joey Patrick Nicholas, I know that you have submitted all required documents by this body and also went through the two public hearing, one in Rhoda and one in Saipan, and you have submitted testimony on both islands. But if you have anything else in addition to the two public hearing that you wishes to deliver this afternoon, you have the floor. And I will start with Associate Judge Camacho. You have the floor, but please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Is it on? It's on? All right. Good afternoon, Chairman. If you don't mind, I do appreciate the opportunity to, I know I made two statements in Rhoda and Tinian. It will be a short statement also, partly because I have some family members and friends who I would like to say some words, if you don't mind.
If you wish to disclose the same statement that you disclose in general, feel free to do so. If you have anything else in addition to that.
It's slightly a little bit different, if you don't mind. So
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Hafaday and Tiro senators. First, thank you, senators, for holding these public hearings. Also, I want to thank the Governor Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola for nominating me for the position of presiding judge. And I want to thank the many families and friends who have submitted letters of support and appear at these public hearings to show their support for my fellow judicial nominees and myself. I want to especially thank those in the legal community that have submitted letters of support. It is an honor and a privilege to serve the people of the Commonwealth. And with your vote of confidence, I hope to continue that public service in the role of presiding judge. I give credit to the many teachers and mentors that have given me good advice. First and foremost of my mentors is my mother. Mom valued education. Mom would say, work hard in school or you work hard the rest of your life. Mom raised boys, and when one of her boys would get out of line, Mom would say, pride is a great thing, but carried too far, it becomes foolish. It's best to do the right thing and let others be proud of you. Lesson learned. That even with success and accomplishments, to remain humble. Another mentor is former Saipan Mayor Jesus Sablan de Longuero, better known as Gere. Uncle Gere held various public office during the early years of the Commonwealth. In 2008, on the 16th Legislature's Inauguration Day, my first time to be elected to public office, and also elected as floor leader by my peers of the House of Representatives. After the ceremony in my office, just right down the hallway here, I was wearing my suit and tie and my marmar. I was feeling very proud of myself. And Uncle Gere said, that's a beautiful marmar. You should keep it. And I said, yes, I will keep it. I will put it on the shelf in my office. Then Uncle Gere said, you should put that marmar on every few months. And I replied, okay, but what for? And Uncle Gere's advice was, so you can check if your head has gotten too big. Pride is a great thing, but carried too far, it becomes foolish. It's best to do the right thing and let others be proud of you. Lesson learned, again, that even with high positions and titles, to remain humble. Thank you, Senators. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you, Associate Judge Camacho. Now I would like to recognize Attorney Nicholas.
Good afternoon. My name is Joey Patrick St. Nicholas. Mr. Chairman and honorable senators, thank you for the opportunity once again to appear before you today. I'm deeply honored by this nomination, and I am grateful to Governor David M. Ampatang and Lieutenant Governor Dennis C. Mendiola for their confidence. I also thank this committee for its careful consideration of this nomination. I would like to thank the members and my colleagues in the CNMI bar for their well wishes and support. I'm especially grateful for the feedback reflected in the judicial survey. I received that input with humility and respect, and I recognize it as both an honor and a responsibility to live up to the standards of professionalism, competence, and integrity that our legal community expects. Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the influence of my dad, Ramon Rosario Sablan. He was a young boy here in Saipan during World War II. He lived in a cave with his family as bombs fell across our islands. In that darkness, in those moments of fear, he lost several siblings. That is not something that you forget. But what has always stayed with me is not just that he went through, is not what he went through, it is what he chose to become afterward. He did not allow the experiences to define him with bitterness. Instead, he lived his life with strength and quiet determination. And growing up, he repeated one simple lesson to me. He would say, JP, never give up. Never give up. That lesson became the foundation of everything that I have done. It carried me as a young boy. It carried me when I left home to pursue my education, and it carries me here today as I sit here before you. I'm deeply grateful for the love and support of my beautiful wife, Connie Manglonia St. Nicholas, and of our children. And please allow me to recognize my auntie, Magdalena Sablan George, who's also present with us in support of me. Undangklo na si Masi to Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola for appointing me to serve as Associate Judge of the CNMI Superior Court. Finally, in anticipation of questions by this august body, I am mindful of the proper role of a judge within our constitutional system. Matters of policy, whether involving the covenant, the Constitution, or statutory law, are entrusted in the legislative and executive branches. It would not be appropriate for me to offer personal views or commentary on policy issues that may come before the court. If confirmed, my duty would be to apply the law as it is written, as you wrote it. Judges are bound by the four corners of the law, by the covenant, the Constitution, and applicable statutes, and must interpret and apply those authorities faithfully. A judge cannot substitute his or her personal opinions for the law. The rule is not to make policy, but to ensure that the law is applied fairly, consistently, and in accordance with established legal principles. In doing so, a judge must act without fear or favor, independent of outside pressures, and impartial to all who come before the court. That is the standard I will uphold if confirmed. Talo, Mr. Chairman, and member Istina Committee, undangklo na si Masi, ginenggo, yasago, and todo familia mami. Thank you very much.
Si Masi, Attorney St. Nicholas. And before I entertain public comment, again, I want to read again what I stated earlier, that any comment that is raised that is not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. This time, I officially open the floor for public comment. Anyone in the gallery that wishes to come forward and deliver testimony, whether you're in support or not in support, you're free to come forward. But before you start your testimony, please state your name for the record. Thank you. Public comment is now open.
Good afternoon, Chairman and August Badio. I would actually have preferred to sit between the two of these gentlemen, but SAA here chose this seat, and like what was mentioned in this morning's hearings, that this is a very unique situation, because it's not often we have three nominations to the judiciary open. So I'm glad that we're here to be a part of this. So with that, my name is Ray Nyumo. I am the Secretary of the Department of Public Works, and I'm here to provide my testimony in support of Governor David M. Appointee and Lieutenant Governor James Dennis Mendiola's nomination for these two fine gentlemen sitting to my right. I would first like to start with the nomination of Associate Judge Joseph N. Camacho for the position of presiding judge. Once again, Chair, Vice Chair, and honorable members. I'm here to offer remarks regarding the nomination again for Associate Judge Joseph N. Camacho to serve as presiding judge. Judge Camacho brings to this nomination a broad and well-rounded record of public service. Of course, before joining the judiciary, as was mentioned earlier, he did serve as a member of the 16th CNMI legislature. We actually served together. He was my floor leader. I was just a member of the House. So we spoke a lot and we conversed, of course. This is where he basically gained first-hand experience with the legislative process, statutory interpretation, and the policy consideration that shapes our laws. That background gives him a deep appreciation for the separation of powers and the responsibilities entrusted to each branch of government. Of course, following his legislative service, Judge Camacho continued his commitment to the Commonwealth through his legal career, ultimately leading to his appointment as an associate judge of the Superior Court. In that role, he has demonstrated fairness, discipline, and a strong command of courtroom management. His judicial temperament is steady and measured, and he approaches each case with patience, attentiveness, and respect for all parties. Those who appear before Judge Camacho recognize his ability to balance firmness with compassion and to apply the law thoughtfully and consistently. Of course, these qualities are essential for the role of presiding judge, where leadership, judgment, and administrative oversight, which is key, are just as important as his legal expertise. The position of presiding judge requires someone who can guide the operations of the Superior Court, support judicial colleagues, and ensure that the judiciary remains efficient, transparent, and accessible to the public, especially in these challenging times in our economic doldrum. Judge Camacho's combined experience as a legislator, attorney, and judge gives him the perspective and maturity needed to fulfill these responsibilities effectively. And from my vantage point in the executive branch, I have seen how important it is to have a judiciary that is stable, predictable, and grounded on integrity. Judge Camacho's record reflects those values. His service across multiple branches of government has prepared him well for this leadership role. And I thank you for the opportunity for me to share these remarks. For the next nominee, I would like to offer my remarks for the nomination of Attorney Joey P. San Nicolas to serve as Associate Judge to the Superior Court of the Commonwealth. Attorney San Nicolas, of course, brings to this nomination a broad and distinguished record of public service as well. His career includes years of legal practice, executive leadership, and community involvement. He's even an instructor at the college, teaching law. And from what I've been hearing, he's doing it pretty well, and he will be missed. Of course, he has served as served the Commonwealth as mayor of Tinian, where he managed critical municipal operations and gained first-hand experience with the legal and administrative challenges that affects our island and, of course, the island of Tinian and Aguigan. That executive level background gives him a practical understanding of government operations and the real-world impact of judicial decisions. In addition to his public service, Attorney San Nicolas has built a respected legal career. He has represented clients in both civil and criminal matters, and I can speak to this from personal experience, as I am one of his clients, both personal and in corporate, when he was the attorney for IPI. Of course, Attorney San Nicolas was also Attorney General for the Commonwealth, so he brings a lot of experience under his belt. So, of course, I had the opportunity to observe his professionalism, his preparation, and commitment to ensuring that the legal process was fair and transparent. He approached my case, for example, with the same diligence and respect that he brings to all of his work. That first-hand experience gave me a clear view of his integrity, his work ethic, and his ability to navigate complex legal issues with clarity and discipline. These qualities, fairness, number one, patience and respect for due process, are essential, and I believe he exhibits that. And these are essential for anyone entrusted with judicial authority. Attorney San Nicolas has demonstrated them consistently throughout his career. The role of associate judge requires not only legal expertise, but also judicial temperament, the ability to listen carefully, weigh issues thoughtfully, and treat every party with dignity. Attorney San Nicolas has shown these qualities in his legal practice, his public service, and his interactions with the community. And from my vantage point, I have seen how important it is to have a judiciary that is steady, consistent, and grounded in public trust. Attorney San Nicolas' record reflects those values. His combination of legal experience, executive leadership, and community service prepares him well for the responsibilities of associate judge. And then last, Mr. Chairman, I know this morning I was here for Judge Robert Naraha's hearing, but I did not submit written testimony. But if no objection from the members, I'll just submit my written testimony for his nomination, that I am also in favor of him. And of course, if I didn't do that, they're gonna never talk this down in San Roque. So with that, thank you, and for allowing me the time to speak to you guys.
Thank you, Secretary Yumo. Still open for public comment?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, Chairman Francisco Cruz, members of the EAGI committee, and everyone in the gallery. Let the record reflect, my name is Alfreda Camacho Meritita, and I'm speaking in my personal capacity in strong support of the Honorable Governor David M. Appointee and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola's nomination of Associate Judge Joseph James Narita Camacho as the presiding judge of the CNMI Superior Court. You may know him as Associate Judge Joseph James Narita Camacho, but to me, he's always been Uncle Joe. I'd like to take you back to the summer of 1999. I had just graduated from high school and moved to Oregon to attend Portland State University. I was 17 years old, far from home, stepping into the unknown, trying to find my place in a world that felt entirely new to me. At the same time, Uncle Joe was in the Pacific Northwest too, pursuing his legal education with the clear goal of becoming a lawyer and returning home to serve our people. During those years, I faced challenges being away from my parents, whom I miss so dearly, and adjusting to an environment that often felt unfamiliar and overwhelming. There were many moments when I simply felt like I didn't belong. And every time, Uncle Joe was the person I turned to. Even while he was on his own educational journey, he never lost sight of the people around him. He showed up for me. He treated me like his own daughter, guiding and teaching me life lessons I carry to this day in my career in public service. And whenever I went to him for advice in Oregon, Uncle Joe always made sure that there was coconut cream or banana cream pie from Sherry's restaurant waiting for me, a little tradition between us that I still cherish today. Those small acts of kindness, along with his guidance, shaped how I approach my work, my decisions, and my commitment to serve our community. What I remember most is not just what he said, but how he carried himself. He never reacted impulsively. He listened. He reflected. He approached every situation with discernment and ease. He would remind me that there were always two sides to every coin, and guided me to see that beyond emotion, to understand the reasoning behind what I was facing. Because of him, I didn't just get through those moments, I grew from them. I still remember when he graduated law school and was preparing to return home while I was still in the middle of my undergraduate studies. He said, "Nenny, remember why your parents sent you to college. Don't ever forget that." He understood that at 19 or 20, I could easily have stayed in the US where life was more comfortable and convenient. Like so many young people from the CNMI who leave for college and oftentimes do not return. But he didn't just talk about returning home, he showed it, choosing to come back to the CNMI and dedicate himself to our community. And today I can say we both came home. We came home to serve our people. That is who Uncle Joe has always been, a man grounded in purpose, guided by reason, and committed to the people of this Commonwealth. It is those same qualities, discernment, humility, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to service that make him the right choice to serve as presiding judge. I respectfully ask this body for your support for this nomination and the nomination as well for Attorney J.P. San Nicolas. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Meritita. Still open for comment.
And I originally wrote this testimony addressed to Acting Chair Senator Jude. Nonetheless, it is for this esteemed committee members. Dear Honorable Chair Francisco Cruz and esteemed members of this committee, it is with great honor and sincere pleasure that I write this letter in strong support of Mr. Joey Patrick San Nicolas for appointment as judge of the CNMI Superior Court. In every community, there are individuals whose character, integrity, and unwavering commitment to public service naturally earn the trust and respect of others. Mr. San Nicolas, affectionately known as many to us, JP, is one such individual. Throughout his distinguished career, he has served in numerous capacities, including Attorney at Law, CNMI Attorney General, Guam Assistant Attorney General, CPA Legal Counsel, and most notably as a dedicated two-term mayor of the island of Tinian and Aguigan. What truly sets Mr. San Nicolas apart is not only his impressive professional background, but his humility, deep respect for others, and steadfast dedication to serving the people of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. These qualities embody the very principles upon which our justice system is built. I am confident that he will bring to the bench sound judgment, fairness, and a profound sense of responsibility to the community he serves. It would be a privilege for our Commonwealth to have a person of his character entrusted with such an important role. I wholeheartedly and without reservation support his appointment as judge of the CNMI Superior Court. Additionally, I would like to express my strong support for the appointment of Judge Robert C. Naraha as Associate Justice of the CNMI Supreme Court and my classmate, Judge Joseph N. Camacho, whom I do not need to emphasize further. He has proven himself during during his tenure as the judge of a Superior Court. I know that these two men will serve on the bench with distinction, as well as J.P. San Nicolas. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration, and I respectfully look forward to your favorable action on the confirmation of Mr. San Nicolas, Judge Naraha, and Judge Camacho. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maglonia.
Hafares and Tiro, Honorable Chairman Francisco Cruz, Vice Chairman Senator Jude U. Hofschneider, and honorable members of this committee. My name is Eileen Alipuzu Babauta. For accessibility, I'd like to briefly describe myself. I'm a female Pacific Islander, born and raised in Saipan. I have dark shoulder, wavy hair, brown eyes, light brown skin, with a warm smile. Wearing a pink shirt, khaki-colored pants. It's truly an honor to be with you here today, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak. Today I rise with deep respect and heartfelt conviction to speak in strong support of Joseph Norita Camacho, also known by many as Joe. Joe is a man whose life reflects integrity, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to the people of the Commonwealth. To serve as presiding judge is not only to hold a title, it is to carry the weight of justice, to make decisions that shape lives, and to uphold the trust of an entire community. This role demands not only legal expertise, but character, humility, and a profound understanding of the people he serves. Joe embodies all of these. He is a man grounded in knowledge. As an avid reader and lifelong learner, he has dedicated himself to understand the history of the Marianas and Micronesia. Over the years, he has built a remarkable collection of rare books. This speaks volumes about his discipline, his curiosity, and his respect for truth, qualities essential for a judge entrusted with interpreting the law. But what makes Joe truly exceptional is that his understanding goes beyond books. He lives our culture. As a proud graduate of the 500 sails Laladzak sailing class, cohort number 8, and the traditional navigation program, module 1, Joe has committed himself to learning the ancient ways of our ancestors. He sails traditional Chamorro and Carolinian canoes, not for recognition, but for connection. Through this, he carries forward the values of patience, observation, respect, and balance. And these are the very qualities that define a great judge. A navigator reads the stars, the currents, and the winds to find the right path. In the same way, a judge must read the law, understand the people, and carefully weigh every decision to ensure fairness and justice. Joe has proven that he can do both. He has the intellectual discipline to interpret the law. He has the cultural grounding to understand the community. And he has the moral compass to lead with fairness, compassion, and integrity. In a time where trust in leadership is more important than ever, Joe stands as someone we can believe in, someone who honors where we come from, while guiding us forward with clarity and purpose. He is not only qualified, he is also called to serve. Sidus Masi Joe, for your dedication, your humility, and your lifelong commitment to preserving our history, uplifting our culture, and serving our people. With full confidence and deep respect, I stand in support of Joseph Norita Camacho as presiding judge of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Still open for public comment?
This is for you. Thank you.
My testimony, formal endorsement of Associate Judge Joseph James Norita Camacho for presiding judge of the Superior Court. Half a day to row, and good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and distinguished members of the EAGI committee. I am Alice Santos Igito, and it is with distinct honor and conviction that I express my strong support of the nomination of Associate Judge Joseph James Norita Camacho to serve as presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Whew. Having observed Judge Camacho's distinguished tenure on the bench since his initial appointment in 2011. I am confident that his elevation is the most prudent course for the continued integrity of our judiciary. I have consistently observed Judge Camacho's exceptional judicial temperament. Even in high-stake litigations, he maintains a climate of absolute decorum and fairness, ensuring that all parties, regardless of their resource, are heard with equal patience. His ability to distill complex legal arguments into clear, decisive rulings in a testament to his preparation and sharp legal mind. More importantly, his career spanning roles as a prosecutor, legislator, and jurist reflects a comprehensive understanding of the separation of powers and the nuanced administrative demands of presiding judge role. Judge Camacho's judicial record is characterized by an acting adherence to the rule of law and a temperament that fosters public trust in the trial court. His previous confirmation and successful retention elections underscore a consistent history of the competence and community confidence. In an era requiring both legal sophistication and administrative efficiency, his familiarity with the CNMI Superior Courts ensures a seamless transition of leadership. Judge Camacho distinguishes himself as a bridge builder between Western legal frameworks and the indigenous heritage of the Northern Mariana Islands. His judicial philosophy treats Chamorro and Carolinian traditions not as mere footnotes, but as essential pillars of the community's governing logic. He famously took his oath of office in Carolinian to signal his deep-rooted commitment by likening the role of law to traditional navigation. Judge Camacho frames the court's role as a guiding force that respects and ancestral voyagers of his people while ensuring modern stability. Whether he is advocating for the preservation of indigenous land rights or participating in traditional maritime voyages to Tinian, he consistently demonstrates that a truly just legal system must be culturally resonant, ensuring that the CNMI Supreme Court reflects the life, values, and history of the people it serves. I respectfully request that the Senate grant its advice and consent to confirm Judge Joseph James Norita Camacho. His appointment is not merely a promotion of a seasoned jurist, but a commitment to the stability and excellence of the Commonwealth's legal system. Sidus Maasi, Galisa Rami, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Igito. Still open for public comment?
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph De Leon Guerrero, and I will be reading a letter of support for the nominee. Honorable members of the Senate EAGI Committee, on behalf of the Northern Marianas Descent Corporation, Board of Directors and membership, I am privileged to present this testimony in unequivocal support of the nomination of Associate Judge Joseph N. Camacho for the distinguished position of presiding judge, as proposed by Governor David M. Appointee. We wish to convey our sincerest appreciation to Judge Camacho for his extensive years of unwavering commitment and exemplary service to the Commonwealth in his capacity as an associate judge. Throughout his tenure, Judge Camacho has consistently demonstrated the highest standards of professionalism and integrity. His deep commitment to upholding the rule of law has been evident in all aspects of his work. Through his steady leadership and judicious decision-making, he has earned the admiration of his colleagues and the respect of the broader legal community and the public he diligently serves. Judge Camacho's contributions have significantly fortified the judicial system, making him a distinguished candidate for this vital role. The NMD Corporation expresses its profound appreciation for the considerable time and thoughtful attention that Judge Camacho has provided to our organization. His readiness to undertake the important responsibility of administering the oath of office to members of the NMDC board not only highlights his exceptional accessibility, but also reinforces his genuine commitment to public service and the principles of sound governance that are vital to the well-being of our community. Judge Camacho possesses a wealth of experience, a calm and composed demeanor, and an unwavering dedication to the pursuit of justice. These attributes render him particularly well equipped to assume the responsibilities of presiding judge. We are confident that he will continue to serve the Commonwealth with the same excellence and dedication that have characterized his distinguished judicial career, inspiring those around him and upholding the values that we cherish. In consideration of the aforementioned points, we sincerely encourage the distinguished members of the EAGI committee to provide a favorable recommendation for his nomination, advancing this recommendation to the full Senate for their consideration and subsequent approval would represent a significant and beneficial advancement. We are grateful for the opportunity to present this testimony and to participate in this vital process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLongreiro.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and honorable members of this committee. My name is Marco Peter. I'm here as a citizen of the Commonwealth. I'm here to strongly support your confirmation of both gentlemen, which, since with the entrustment of the governor, entrusting these two gentlemen to be in this position, I believe that they will uphold justice and they will continue to keep integrity within the justice system. And for the record, I was in Oregon in 1999 when Miss Frida was there, and I never tried that dessert that Judge Camacho gave Frida. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I came here today to let you know that when I heard this morning I was invited to attend this hearing, I said, what hearing? Judge Camacho and J.P. San Nicolas. My name is Leo Bora Tudela. I was a former CPA director. At that time, I had the experience and the understanding of Mr. J.P. San Nicolas. He was working in Guam as an attorney general, assistant attorney general, and I did talk to him and I convinced him to come to Saipan. So he did work for me for about 3-4 months. And let me say this, the short time I know Mr. San Nicolas, he put me to my place. What I mean to say that I don't know too much about CPA, autonomy, but I do know about airline and logistic. He said, this is the law. I said, okay. You're my counselor, right? Yes. Okay, this is the right. They said, okay, Mr. Counselor. Mr. San Nicolas is a straight shooter. He's a man of a legal mind that will tell you like it is. And I like that kind of person. Unfortunately, I only had a few 3 or 4 months, Mr. Nicolas, because something, I guess he got better job, better salary. But he was a man of humble, he's always smiling, and I know that he will do an excellent job as a judge. I vouch for him and I support him 200%. Now, my cousin here next door to me, Mr. Camacho, when I first came to Saipan in 2022, I had the opportunity to be called for jury duty. And the first time, jury duty. So I went in there, we stayed in on the right side, and the two lawyers asking questions, good or bad. So when it came to me, I said, Judge Camacho, I have a very important job, Chief Director. He said to me, you're a member of the community, you have to stay. I said, man, I said, okay, you're the judge. I attended 2 hearings on his court hearing, and those 2 court hearings, let me say this, he knows how to have the pro lawyer, the con lawyer, the both pattern back and forth. He would say, listen, folks, this is the court of law. And if somebody object, and they say, wait, and the other said no. I watched him for 2 hours. He's a man that knows what is right, what is true, and he will do the right thing. I remember when I left Saipan when I was 13 years old. I know his dad, Barrow Bendinga, right? He's a good cousin and good friend of mine. His dad is, let me say this, smart guy, and he knows how to play marbles. This is on the past. So I'm here today, not prepared. I'm just sitting down listening. I said, I must say something to these 2 folks. I have an actual experience with Camacho, and Mr. San Nicolas worked for me for 3 or 4 months, and he was an excellent attorney. I applaud you for today for listening, and I hope you give him a grateful and very approval for this CNMI. We need people like this. I wish more people would be around. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Tudela.
Good afternoon, Chair, Chairman Cruz, Vice Chair Hofschneider, and members of the committee. I have to say that my name is Matthew Gregory. I've been practicing law for 30 years in the CNMI, for those of you who don't know me. And I'm trying to, I guess I should bring a lawyer's perspective to the hearing, because I have to say I agree with everything everybody else has been saying, and I don't want to repeat everything. But all I can say is the administration, the governor and lieutenant governor couldn't have made a better choice with these 2 nominees. I've known them for almost 30 years in personal capacity, professional capacity. Outside of the professional capacity, they're the nicest people you could ever meet, very intelligent, and in the courtroom or drafting documents or whatever, they are incredibly competent, decent individuals, and we could not do better than these 2 nominees. So I'd like to thank the governor and lieutenant governor for this nomination. I'll start with Judge Camacho first. It is incredibly unusual to have somebody with that range of experience on the bench. So somebody who's been a police officer, somebody who's been a congressman, somebody who's been a trial attorney, a public defender, and a judge for that period of time. It is impressive, and I'm sure his skills and his abilities, especially in administration, are going to greatly improve the court and justice in the CNMI. He really is an experienced trial attorney, has taken more trials, I think probably more trials than any of the other judges that we have. And it shows because he does conduct the best trial. He's the best trial judge in the CNMI. He understands the rules of evidence, understands the legal issues that are presented. He is incredibly prepared. When you go in front of Judge Camacho, sometimes he's thought of some things that you haven't thought of. And actually, that's quite common. And so that's very unusual for a judge, that they have thought about the issues to that depth before they walk in and hear your case. So, he really is an expert in probate and property matters.
has a reputation for impartiality. Even, I'll say, even in the political world, Judge Camacho, back when he was a politician, never heard him say anything negative about anybody. Politics are politics, but it's not personal. And he has always behaved that way, at least, and we shared office space. We've known each other for years, and I can say that. And never a negative word out of his mouth about other people. It's always nice, always, sometimes attorneys are kind of backbiting and they make comments about people behind, and he has never done that. He is not a person that I've ever seen express real anger. So very even-tempered, the perfect impartiality for a judge. And I think I would commend the governor for his choice. With regards to Joey P. St. Nicholas, I've also known for almost 30 years, really does have the extensive trial experience, probate expertise, a lot of property expertise, and I've seen him frequently. He certainly is dedicated to his clients, really fights for his clients, does a great job for his clients. He has the knowledge to adequately represent their interests, but he does it with a smile. He's not attacking the other attorney. He has, a great judicial demeanor, and gets along with pretty much everybody in the bar. So I have a feeling that the vast majority of the attorneys in the CNMI will be very happy to practice in front of him. He's prepared. He's honest. He has integrity. And again, we couldn't ask for better choices. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Attorney. Still open for public comment?
Appointee Jantiro, Operation Mr. Gonzalez, Cosinago, no Mafnas, Zoclif, no 3 o'clock Timo. For the record, no si Jose Pangilinan Kiosi, no Magosdo, no Mr. Chairman, na para bay kentus natibo. Guazo written testimony, no down na bay na haluma estilo Magosdo, Pagon dan Banidoso, zo na Toto Marianas, especialmente como uno no ginintinian. History Pago, ni para ma-apunta 3 na Northern Marianas descent, gestin takilo siya na posisyon. Sa history lo kipago sa naonno Jose, gesti ifonno Joseph, ipunta Joey. 3 na J's, better than 1. Poso papaisin, komite no Mr. Chairman dyan isin August body, na tamana lengas ti siya na maski mang qualifies ti itsamuruta. Ja tamana talo lekko history pago sa 3 na Northern Marianas descent sa dongklo na si Jesus Masi para governor, dan lieutenant governor. Sa importantes ti na no appointee, dan papaisin namjon ni para na sardikas ti ni po ma-confirm, do matsukit si Tsunya si Jesus Masi.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Kelsey, still open for public comment?
Amaga tumaluan ni rana ni mamay ng linghami. Mabuhay. Konnichiwa. Kulo tuwo. Guahui lahin midzo, itsetlun midzo, ibisinun midzo. Ipapalutin midzo hanggang I just got back from being away. Bubisitay from Magoon. Si John Oliver de los Reyes Bolis Sablan Palacios Cabrera Gonzalez Santa Claus. Ekwa hamzulo. When I grow up, I want to be like isti distinguidson na hugwidzay na lahin Marianas. Malago zo tumutuhon i finoohu gitay gwini. Tiutay gwihi si kumpayreku Joey Pangilinan sa Nicolas. Zan luho si Joe. Afazan hanggang makarinyo niya malifaw. No Norita Kamatsu. Kumoti i mandistinggizon zan man respetazon na manyay na niya. Pues malagozo na ta tsulisti na tempo zata abiba zanta azuus zanta tazuzuti manyainan niya za si Zeus Masi no ini manyainan mi sa manaygwenno hamzo sa putsia za tigwaila zitafan malefa manginin manuhit ihaleta maski sea amonu na taonu tafatoy gwi zanta hanawgi dos maila zata ripasa si pinaposta como man 50 años distiki man Commonwealth it in political union with the United States with the covenant manyelusan mayinahu pa gunha oni istigi put hafa sustansyanya ijota covenant iparata distinggizon jan honorably ta gubetnan may sahit. Za malagod so na bayho na fanhasus ti dos na lahin Marianas na mga malefanin no sa izota covenant ihalita i midgod jan ti za makun na dokumento na debi mas ta atituzi jan debi mas utana opan za tafanagwi fa maguuntag eskwela tafanagwi todo doy manahalum na law clerks gof preciso zan lokwi chichota ni man magas ni man mailihi na tafanagwi Amerika sa zangin ti matungo sa covenant mambas na kit tentasyon it will be an irrevocable disastrous future if we don't do our work to emphasize the covenant. Maasi por favor. And lastly, malagodzo sumangan na NMDC. I'm a member, past president of NMDC. Then Paugo Kahero. Filing niya si board member Joe Kitugwa de Longuerero. We support that. But I also want to say na malagodzo lokibay who sangan na si Zeus Masi Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mindiola put un adzik isti itres dan lokwi si Judge no PJ Robert Naraha Kamatsu Naraha. Thank you for izun mizo nomination of istini itres na totauta. Man halum man takfe na man distinggizon zan mas zahululo man dispitadzon za inasok ko na guahu bayhu angok ko na gaigi na paromapulan za umaabiba zan defendi idinansi zan itininas si Joe bay naso na manamigi NMC ningayan bay malefa ko lang mohon zo ko counselor loke taot na malefa paro na hasuzo na munga mana lostima ifinaposta karirota. In fact, kolangon na piniti sa timanozo para law school. Lo usay nagradesi Hamza and si Viola for always constantly reminding me na zangin diputsi pus por favor munga mana lostima. Thank you, Judge Kamatsu, for that, and your wife. It's a Lucy JP San Nicolas Umami delegate as the 3rd Constitutional Convention. Ami masunu obin, and we wanted to lower the cost of running, the age for running for governor to 21. Malalodya mi sa linya disatento am zunados. Pues makipa negi 35 na. Judge, está of age na dos dan si. But at any rate, bisang onyamzo na manmago fi familia zagof no beangoko. Thank you, Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mindiola. za bayo Abiba, za bay Maigo Pacifico, zan Mafung ni ST3 na nominees za tigwaila zinim na lefa ginin manamzo, Abiba zan Pulan Itininas, zan usengway za hamzo sa mampus hamzo humiddi, zan utungan ati infa baba itaw-tawta, maski siya haji no maktugi kotti. Sisus masi, walo may remi, za God bless the Commonwealth.
Mr. Gonzalez, the open for public comment.
Half a day to row and greetings, Chairman Francisco Cruz, Vice Chairman Hofschneider, and honorable members of the EAGI committee. My name is Michael Norita Evangelista, and I am a practicing attorney here in the CNMI. My testimony today will be as to both Associate Judge Camacho and Attorney JP San Nicolas. At the outset, I would like to register my full support on the nomination of both Associate Judge Camacho and Attorney JP San Nicolas. I will speak first on behalf of my support for Associate Judge Camacho, and right after that, my support for Attorney San Nicolas. Full disclosure, Mr. Chairman, Judge Camacho and I are related. His mother and my mother are sisters. Thus, I have known him all my life, both personally and professionally. In fact, it was Associate Judge Camacho who was very crucial in me going off to law school. I was working here at the legislature at the time, had a very comfortable career, I would say. And when he came back from law school, from day one, he started talking to me about maybe thinking of going off to law school. He's talked my ear off until I left. And I have since been very grateful for the guidance and the leadership that he's shown me. And when I came back, I tried again to slip into the comfort of working for the government. I was working for the Attorney General's office as a prosecutor. And on the week off when I was supposed to get my first increase after having worked for the Attorney General's office under then AG Matt Gregory, Judge Camacho came to my office and unannounced said, "Prim, let's go to private practice." And I said, "Prim, this is the first time I'm getting a raise since working here." And he said, "Prim, if you go to private practice, you will never go back to government service." That week, needless to say, I left the I left the AG's office without ever trying my salary increase. But no regret, no regret. I still, since then, I still been in private practice. And again, to his leadership, his guidance, Associate Judge Camacho has been a very instrumental in my personal and private life, professional life. Members of this committee, Judge Camacho's career reflects a lifelong commitment of public service, the rule of law, and to the people of the CNMI. He is a product of our local Northern Marianas College, and his professional journey from law enforcement as a police officer to prosecutor to a private practitioner in the field of law to being a legislator and ultimately his ascension to the bench demonstrate the breadth of experience and deep understanding of our system of justice. For over a decade now, Judge Camacho has served our CNMI Superior Court with distinction. During that time, he has earned a reputation for fairness, sound judgment, and professionalism. He understands not only the law, but also the responsibility that comes with applying the law in a way that is just, consistent, and respectful to all who come before his court. What makes Judge Camacho especially well-suited for the role of presiding judge is his proven leadership. His experience as a former legislator, as a House floor leader, combined with his years on the bench, reflects his ability to manage responsibility, work collaboratively, and guide institutions with integrity and purpose. Equally important is his commitment beyond the courtroom. Judge Camacho has consistently invested in the next generation through education and mentorship. He's helping strengthen the future of the legal profession here in the CNMI. At his core, Judge Camacho embodies the qualities we expect in a presiding judge. The qualities of integrity, discipline, humility, and a genuine dedication to public service. He has the experience, the temperament, and the leadership necessary to serve in this elevated role. I respectfully urge this committee and the full Senate to give Judge Camacho's nomination your favorable consideration. Now, Mr. Chairman, allow me to speak just very briefly and also with the nomination of my friend, my close friend and colleague, Mr. Joey Patrick, JP, as we all know him, San Nicolas, for the position of Associate Judge of the CNMI Superior Court. I have known JP for over 30 years now, both personally and professionally, and I can say without hesitation that he possesses the character, the experience, and judgment that this position demands. JP's life and career reflect hard work, discipline, and deep commitment to public service. From his humble beginnings on the beautiful island of Tinian, he has built a reputation as a respected attorney, a proven leader, and a dedicated public servant. His integrity, work ethic, and respect for the law have been consistent throughout his career. What makes JP particularly well qualified is the breadth of his legal experience. He has served in nearly every role within our justice system. He was a private practitioner, prosecutor, defense counsel, and even attorney general. This rare combination, Mr. Chairman, gives them a balanced perspective and clear understanding of the law from all sides. He knows how decisions impact not only the legal system, but also the people it serves. Beyond the legal work, JP has demonstrated leadership at the highest levels of public service, including serving as the mayor of Tinian and Aguiguan. He has also contributed to our community as an adjunct instructor at NMC, served on public boards, and is an active volunteer in the local mock trial programs and moot court for our students here in the CNMI. These experiences reflects his commitment not just to the law, but to the Mariana Islands as well. Those very qualities and those very experiences that I have just said about Mr. Attorney JP San Nicolas can also be flipped, and it fits squarely with also the experience and public involvements that public education involvements that Associate Judge Camacho embodies. They fit together. They do the same things for our community in educating the next generation of potential lawyers here in the CNMI. And going back to my friend, my colleague, Mr. JP San Nicolas, he's uniquely qualified, Mr. Chairman, for this role. He brings experience, integrity, dedication, which will strengthen our judiciary here in the CNMI. Once again, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and the Senate as a whole, I ask for your favorable consideration of both nominees for the positions that the governor has nominated them, and please confirm them as our newest presiding judge and associate judge in short order. Jesus Maasi, Giliso, and thank you.
Jesus Masia, Attorney Evangelista. Still open for public comment.
Buenas tardes, no Mr. Chairman, dan membro y estina comité y para inina y confirmación para este dos na honorable para o fatautsung gi oficina ng justisya. Na naano si Daniel Ogo Kitugwa no private citizen who interropa para by who participao gini na no conversasyon por este dos na honorable na maapunta para associate judge dyan no presiding judge of the Superior Court. Malago to, Mr. Chairman and member, by nahalum konsiderasyon para inatan. Esta megan resibi na testimonyo po di kwalifikasyon niya dan lokwi po i abilidad niya. Malago to para presenta para hamzo dan atan estina no asunto i sempre tafafana muna gitimpota. Esti i justician i pesador justisya. Mega na mapesastin na kwalifikasyon gi edukasyon. Manatat kilo edukasyon. The Fino English for the right reason. Lo mala za tantan lokwi i otro na kwalifikasyon gano. I otro na kwalifikasyon edzi i mano na sumasagahaw. Hafa na komunidad na igaygiyaw. Hafa na klase no principat komunidad na mulalala. Hita gini gi Commonwealth tatunguha na imimigay niya gi aktusyan eman papasa ginin hamzo na imembron i legislature. Ang gingwa asunto na jiti ina komprendi man motid guato gi kotti. An matsulezo na asunto gi kotti hajezo paro hinustisya i juez. I juez gi Paraguay debidio kakadga ti no legal qualification na debidio kakadga lokwi no kinimpendi po di komunidad na manggay gihit. I komunidad na masasidbi. Importante no sa i-aplikasyon i justisya ginagagaw no makonsidera no. Sa esti i tres naman mapunta para esti mantat kilo na posisyon gi justisya si Judge Robert Naraha, si Judge Joe Camacho, dyan i mapunta para no associate judge nuevo na kandidato si Joy San Nicolas. Hutungo to desti tres. Hutungo si Judge Camacho. Hutungo si Joy no San Nicolas. Dangkunin ang ukoko para esti to di tres. Na jangin mo tu asunto gato na ginagago para magkonsidera sentimentong komunidad o gef comprende zan o gef angoko na ST3 mahusga eno na asunto zan manabalansa i desisyon niya. Gi Paraguay e gi justisya. Za importante hamzo na i man membron i legislatura, hamzo na i man ma-entrega nesti na responsabilidad i para in confirma ST3 na honorables na inatan lo kweno na asunto gi konsiderasyon mizo anay para in confirma izo niya nomination. Importante na na estisya na kilisano debido matungo i kultura, debido matungo i costumbre, debido matungo i lingwahe. Debido matungo na gahalom estisya na konsiderasyon debido fan sentido gi aplikasyon justisya. Puso gagago i pinasensyan mizo, dan i konsiderasyon mizo na ataneno na asunto, lagi durante i deliberation mizo deliberation per confirma, por favor, na inizon mizo suportasyon para inafan matautsong gi posisyon na man mapunta. Sumendang kulo na si Jesus Masi. Buenas tardes.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Kirigwa, still open for public comment.
Half
Hafade Todos Hamsu. My name is Francine Marie Mendiola Driss, and I'm here to share my testimony in honor of Judge Joseph Narita Camacho. Buenas Zansizuas Maasi for allowing me to speak on behalf of Judge Joseph Narita Camacho. My Nino, but the man I proudly call Dad. I know that may have confused many of you, but it truly speaks to the kind of person he is. He has been a constant father figure and role model in my life. My dad, with my Nina, Viola, and my brother Olin, have always embraced my sisters and I, welcoming us into their lives and their home as a family. He helped raise us to be generous and thoughtful, not just in our actions, but in how we speak. He taught us that even the gentlest words can carry strength, truth, and deep meaning. In our culture, we say inafa maulik, to make things good for each other, to care for one another as family. My dad has always remained compassionate to everyone he meets, but I want to share what his kindness has meant to me personally. Growing up around him, I saw him show up in every kind of moment in life, whether it was joyful celebrations, important gatherings, or times of deep sorrow. At birthday parties, he would greet the celebrant with a warm smile and heartfelt wishes. At personal events, he would shake hands, share stories, and make people feel seen. And during life's hardest moments, he offered sincere condolences that brought comfort and peace. His words always carried meaning no matter the occasion. Dad, thank you for teaching that true success is not defined by the title, but how you treat and support the people around you. You have always been a steady, quiet hero in our lives. And from your son, Olin, he asked me to share this message. You are the greatest dad, and thank you for giving life to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Still open for public comment.
Good afternoon, Honorable members of the Senate Committee on Executive Appointments and Government Investigations. For the record, my name is Pamela Camacho Sablan, a private citizen of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, residing on the island of Saipan. I will submit 2 letters of support and will read them to the committee. The first letter is for the nomination of Associate Judge Joseph Narita Camacho for appointment as presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. The second letter is a letter of support for the nomination of Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas for the appointment as Associate Judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. My first letter is addressed, if I may, to the Honorable Francisco Q. Cruz, Chairman. Dear Honorable Chairman, I respectfully submit this letter of strong support of the nomination of Associate Judge Joseph Narita Camacho for appointment as presiding judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Pursuant to Article 4 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the judicial power of the Commonwealth is vested in an independent judiciary charged with the fair and impartial administration of justice. The position of presiding judge is central to this constitutional mandate and carries the responsibility of ensuring the effective administration of the courts, the integrity of judicial proceedings, and the consistent application of the law. In fulfilling these responsibilities, the presiding judge must exemplify the highest standards of integrity, independence, impartiality, and competence, consistent with the principles reflected in the CNMI Code of Judicial Conduct, which requires judges to uphold public confidence in the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary. Associate Judge Camacho possesses these essential qualifications. He has demonstrated a sustained commitment to intellectual rigor and the careful application of legal principles. His dedication to lifelong learning, including his study of the history of the Marianas and Micronesia, reflects a disciplined and thoughtful approach to understanding the context in which the law is applied. In addition to his professional qualifications, Judge Camacho maintains a strong connection to the cultural values of the Commonwealth. As a graduate of the 500 sails Lalizac sailing class, he has demonstrated a meaningful commitment to preserving and understanding traditional knowledge and practices. This cultural grounding enhances his ability to understand the people he serves and to apply the law with fairness, balance, and cultural awareness. It also reflects qualities such as patience, respect, and sensitivity, attributes that are essential in the fair and thoughtful administration of justice within our diverse island communities. The effective administration of justice requires not only legal expertise, but also the ability to fairly interpret and apply the law in a manner that reflects the realities of our community. Associate Judge Camacho has demonstrated the capacity to uphold these principles while maintaining professionalism, fairness, and respect for all individuals who come before the court. At a time when maintaining public trust in governmental institution is of paramount importance, the appointment of a presiding judge who embodies these constitutional and ethical standards is essential. Associate Judge Camacho's qualifications, character, and commitment to serve makes him well suited to fulfill this role. Accordingly, I respectfully urge the committee, in the exercise of its oversight responsibilities, to give favorable consideration to his nomination. I'm confident that Associate Judge Camacho will serve the Commonwealth with distinction and will uphold the constitutional mandate of an independent and impartial judiciary. Thank you for your consideration of this nomination. Respectfully submitted. My second letter to Honorable Chairman. I respectfully submit this letter in strong support of the nomination of Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas for appointment as Associate Judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The role of Associate Judge in the Superior Court carries significant responsibilities, requiring not only high level of legal competence, but also integrity, sound judgment, and commitment to fairness and impartiality. The Superior Court serves as the primary trial court of the Commonwealth, and its judges are entrusted with resolving matters that directly impacts the lives of individuals, families, and the broader community. Attorney San Nicolas possesses the professional qualifications and personal character necessary to fulfill these responsibilities. He is recognized for his dedication to the practice of law, his diligence in legal analysis, and his commitment to upholding the rule of law. His experience in the legal field has equipped him with a comprehensive understanding of legal procedures, as well as the ability to thoughtfully evaluate complex issues. Equally important, Attorney San Nicolas demonstrates a strong sense of responsibility to the community. His work reflects an understanding of the importance of fairness, respect, and accountability in the administration of justice. These qualities are essential to maintaining public confidence in the judiciary and ensuring that all individuals are treated with dignity under the law. Pursuant to Article 4 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the judicial power of the Commonwealth is vested in the judiciary. In carrying out this constitutional mandate, it's critical that individuals appointed to the bench possess not only legal expertise, but also the temperament and ethical standards required of judicial officers. Attorney San Nicolas meets these expectations and is well prepared to serve in this capacity. Accordingly, I respectfully urge the committee to give favorable consideration to his nomination. I'm confident that Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas will serve the Commonwealth with integrity, professionalism, and a steadfast commitment to justice. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sablon. Still open for public comment. Anyone else? Once we close public comment, we will not go back to public comment. So this is the opportunity to come forward. Whether you're in support or not in support, you're welcome to come forward and deliver testimony. Anyone else in the gallery or outside the gallery? If no one else, at this time, public comment is now closed. And I want to ask Mr. Macaronis to disclose letters that are submitted to this committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Honorable Associate Judge Camacho, Attorney San Nicolas, and members of the general public. In addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Honorable Associate Judge Joseph Narita Camacho to serve as presiding judge, and Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas to serve as Associate Judge of the Superior Court of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Please be advised of 30 written testimonies in support of Honorable Associate Judge Camacho's appointment from the Honorable Julie Marie A. Ogo, Representative of the House of Representatives in the 24th Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature, Honorable Edwin P. Aldon, Mayor of the Municipality of Tinian and Aguiguan, Honorable Joseph E. Santos, Chairperson of the 20th Tinian Municipal Council, Honorable David A. Wiseman, Retired Associate Judge, Honorable Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres, former Governor of the CNMI, Janet H. King, Attorney at Law, Anthony H. Ogden, Attorney at Law, Julian Ogden, Attorney at Law, Steve K. Mesgun, Deputy Commissioner, Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services, Michael Narita Evangelista, Attorney at Law, Philip James Tidinko, Attorney at Law, Vincent De Leon Guerrero Torres, Attorney at Law, a joint letter from Victorino De Leon Guerrero Torres and Matthew J. Hawley, Attorneys at Law, Masood Karimapur, former CNMI Public Defender, Michael A. White, Attorney at Law, Carmelita M. Rabalaman Faisal, President of the Urali Rafalawash Association, Stephanie De Leon Guerrero Flores, Melvin L. O. Faisal, Jodina Atto, Sherry D. Joyner, Marianne Concepcion Terreguezo, Jaylene Alapuzo Sanchez, Bertha C. Leon Guerrero, Charlene M. Tenorio, Shandis Cooper, Joji T. Pamituan, Conchita San Nicolas Titano, Jessica Castro Domingo, a joint letter from the following attorneys: Keith Chambers II, Victorino Torres, Anthony Ogden, Sean Frink, Colin Thompson, Stephen Pixley, Matthew Hawley, Bruce Berline, Vincent Torres, Joaquin Torres, Janet King, Michael Evangelista, David Baines, Richard Miller, and Viola Alapuzo. Please be advised that the committee is in official receipt of a letter of support accompanied by a community petition in support of Honorable Associate Judge Camacho's appointment submitted by Christina T. Sablan. Although the letter indicates a total of 736 signatures, please note that after a count conducted by legislative staff, the committee has been informed that there is a reflected 719 signatures made by members of the community. Please also be advised of one written testimony in opposition of Honorable Associate Judge Camacho's appointment from the Honorable Edward E. Manubusan, Attorney General of the CNMI. Please be advised of 16 written testimonies in support of Attorney San Nicolas's appointment from the Honorable Julie Marie A. Ogo, Representative of the House of Representatives in the 24th Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature, Honorable Edwin P. Aldon, Mayor of the Municipality of Tinian and Aguiguan, Honorable Joseph E. Santos, Chairperson of the 20th Tinian Municipal Council, Honorable David A. Wiseman, Retired Associate Judge, Honorable Ralph De Leon Guerrero Torres, former Governor of the CNMI, Vincent De Leon Guerrero Torres, Attorney at Law, Michael Narita Evangelista, Attorney at Law, Michael A. White, Attorney at Law, Rodney J. Jacob of Calvo, Jacob and Pangilinan LLP, Antoinette R. Villagomez, Melvin L. O. Faisal, Jesus V. De Leon Guerrero, Richard Tysican, Anthony M. Marcinez, a joint letter from Victorino De Leon Guerrero Torres and Joaquin De Leon Guerrero Torres, attorneys at law, and a joint letter from the following attorneys: Keith Chambers II, Joaquin Torres, Robert Torres, Viola Alapuzo, Gilbert Burnbridge, Janet King, Anthony Ogun, Victorino Torres, Matthew Hawley, Michael Evangelista, Colin Thompson, David Baines, Sean Frink, and Bruce Berline. At this time, no written testimony in opposition to Attorney San Nicolas's appointment has been received by the committee. Please also be advised that the committee is in official receipt of the Northern Marianas Bar Association's evaluation of all three judicial nominees. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marconas. And at this time, I would like to call a 5-minute short recess so we can allow the appointee to use the restroom and the general public. To my left, down the hall, to the right, and on to my right, down the hall to the left. Short recess. Thank you. Recess. At this time, on the agenda, we're under line item E. No, I'm sorry, line item F. This time, we'd like to entertain the members of this committee, whether to raise questions or any concern. And I would like to recognize first the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Corina Magufnia.
Mr. Chairman. Buenas tardes, Hafaday, Zantiro, to everyone who are here today to provide testimonies in support of the two nominees. And to the friends and families who are here to show your support, welcome to your Senate chamber. Attorneys San Nicolas and Associate Judge Camacho, congratulations para Hamzana Dos on the nomination to this prestigious position by the Honorable Governor David M. Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola to serve as an associate judge in the Superior Court and the presiding judge in the Superior Court, respectively. Sidusma Siangiliso to you both for your years of service in the government. The testimonies we heard today from your friends and families speaks volume of the trust and confidence in your character, your abilities, and your temperament to fill these very important vacant seats and to lead the Commonwealth with fairness and integrity. The judicial plays a vital role in upholding the rule of law, ensuring fairness and maintaining public trust. Today's hearing is an opportunity for the committee members of EAGI to evaluate your qualifications, integrity, and judicial philosophy. That said, I'm going to have to pick two of the many, many questions that I actually have for you two, but in the interest of time, let me start with our counsel, San Nicolas. Okay. So, Attorney San Nicolas, do you believe that a judge's role is to, strictly interpret the law or to consider broader social outcomes? Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Thank you, Madam Senator. Please don't feel rushed because of the time. We're here for the long haul. So
Okay.
as long as I got water,
Okay, thank you.
the Associate Judge has water, we should be okay. So your question is what role?
Do you believe a judge's role is to strictly interpret the law or to consider broader social outcomes? Where do you fall on that spectrum? And should judges ever fill gaps in the law when the legislature is silent?
Well, my opinion is that the judge's role is to apply the law as it is written by you, fairly, for the benefit of all parties. Apply the law to the facts that's presented to the judge in the court or through pleadings, and then the judge in turn reviewing the pleadings or considering the facts and applying the law to those facts. You talk about social, social outcomes. So at this point, and in any point, Madam Senator, I don't believe that it is the role of a judge to promise outcomes. It is the role of the judge to, of course, provide the public with the ability to come forward and present their case, whether it be in the form of a complaint, a petition, and if one feels that they must file a motion, and really take the facts as they're presented to the judge and apply the law, the settled law. Of course, relying on the various documents that instruct a judge, which is our CNMI Constitution, our covenant, our CNMI statutes, applicable federal statutes, and the U.S. Constitution. Thank you, Madam Senator.
Sudusmasi, Counsel. The next question is, should you be confirmed, when interpreting a statute, what carries the most weight? Text, legislative intent, or practical impact? And how do you approach ambiguous laws? How would you apply approach ambiguous laws?
Again, thank you for that very relevant question. With respect to statutes, of course, statutes don't get presented unless there is some kind of a controversy or a question as to that particular statute. And judges, of course, look at the statute, and if there's ambiguity, they rely on precedent, on prior case law. In the CNMI, the ultimate case law is the case law from the CNMI Supreme Court. And a judge could, of course, look into the history that is presented before the legislature as to the intent, if that is an issue. But we're bound by what is enacted through this political process. We don't, or I say we, but I'm not even confirmed yet, but it's my belief that judges must be confined to what the law says and how it's been interpreted by the Supreme Court, and on the Superior Court level, use that as a basis. Yes, thank you.
Great. Judge Mossy. Now for our associate judge, describe a situation where you were under pressure, whether it was political, professional, or personal, to make a decision that conflicted with your principles, and what did you do?
When I get invited to talk to the kids at school, which I love to do, obviously, one of the students asked, like, Judge, what is the most difficult case that you had? No, that's a relatively common question. And strangely enough, I've handled many trials, everything from, sadly, murder cases to sexual cases, traffic, drunk driving cases. But I can say, at least to date, one of the most difficult case, it wasn't for like political pressure or anything, but talk about Solomon and splitting the baby in half, right? There was a divorce proceeding, and the mother and the child, who was about maybe 11 years old, moved to California, and the father was still here in the CNMI working. And part of the divorce decree said that every other summer they were supposed to have the child come and visit the father here. And the father the mother who was in California just refused to have the child come and visit, even though the court order required that. And we went through a series of hearings, and she just refused to comply for many reasons, but it was a very not friendly breakup, right? Not a friendly divorce. And they send California State Troopers to the house to basically take the child away from the mother so that he could be transported here to Saipan. And the question at the time, the law enforcement in California said, Judge, we're ready here, we're going to take the child. And the question was put to me, he said, okay, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I asked the father, we're now involving the whole mechanism of physically taking a child away from the mother so that he could spend time here in Saipan. And I said, I want to talk to the child. Anyway, I'll cut to the point. So he said on the record, and this was telephonically at that time, and he said, if he was forced to come here and be with the father, he was going to go to a cliff and jump off and kill himself, right? I don't know if he really meant that, but that's what he said. And I could see in the courtroom, the father's crying, literally crying, because he wants to be a part of the child's life. And he said, Judge, I'd rather have my son alive and hating me than, bring him here and then he's going to be, maybe dead. That was a very hard decision, Legally, on paper, he has all the legal rights to force the mechanism to bring the child through the government, law enforcement, and bring the child here. And but the father said, Judge, it's okay. I withdraw my request, even though legally I'm entitled to that. So that still haunts me even to this day. I don't know if the child will turn 18 and decide maybe he wants to have a life with the father or something to that effect. But that's the last I heard of that case. No? So I hope that answers some of your questions.
Yes, Sujus Masi for sharing that experience. Earlier you mentioned about sexual case, right? And it can be very challenging or conflicting or unpopular. It's a very sensitive topic, and as I think about it, I wanted to get your opinion, I guess. Right now, the way our community is, and probably in other communities, this is not isolated to just the CNMI, but there's been a lot of sexual relationships between adults and minors, and in one form or another, it's sometimes acceptable or it's even the norm in some communities, sometimes even here in the CNMI. So I wanted to get your perspective on the current law as it stands. I think just recently passed the age of consent for a minor to engage with an adult, whether it's contact or penetration, is at 15. And as a mother, I personally believe that 15 is still a baby, still a child with no real maturity to make such a decision to consent to an act of that degree. And I wanted to, and I guess relating to the question at hand that I said earlier, whether it's conflicted with your principles, because obviously it conflicts me, and I don't agree with that current law, so I'll be working on a legislation to amend that. But, what are your thoughts on that current law as it stands right now?
As a matter of law, if the legislature, let me say this, if you don't mind, I'll answer in parts.
Sure.
So, like yourself and my hopefully future colleague, right? When we take that oath to take the oath of office, the court, the judges are duty bound to follow the Constitution and laws, right? So whether or not the age of consent is 16 or 15, if the legislature passes that, judges are duty bound to follow the written law when it's clear. The only time a specific statute, if it conflicts and violates the Constitution, which is the highest law, then judges can say that's unconstitutional, assuming it violates the Constitution. But if there's nothing in the written statute that conflicts with the Constitution, then judges are duty bound to follow that. And if I can add additional more for that. Obviously, sexual cases, whether adults or minors, are very sensitive issues to do that. And maybe I'll clarify kind of what I said in Tinian. When a person is arrested, there's an affidavit basically kind of telling the story of why this person is being arrested. Because the rules of evidence only really apply in a trial. If I say hearsay, you hear that in watch TV, something like hearsay, right? Hearsay is basically, there's only two types of witnesses that are really allowed in an actual trial. I'm not talking about bail hearings and stuff or sentencing where people can speak about whether they want a higher sentence, lower sentence. I'm talking about the actual trial to decide the merits of the case. So the first witness that are allowed are basically expert witness. They're easy enough to spot because the court has to receive them as an expert. They have maybe advanced training, whether it's a DNA, fingerprint, or put exhibit 1 in the machine, it spits it out and said, oh, this is methamphetamine. So you can spot an expert because they're actually referred to as an expert witness. The other witness that's actually allowed is called a factual witness. Sometimes people will use the word eyewitness, but it's really factual witness. And factual witness are, I saw it, I smelled it, I tasted, I heard it, or I felt it, right? Some parts of your 5 senses experience that. I didn't see the murder, but I heard the gunshot. I didn't see them using drugs, but I smelled the marijuana, right? So some parts of that's the factual witness that's allowed. Any other witness other than that is hearsay. So when you hear stories, Like, oh, my cousin told me that so-and-so, did something. That's not an allowed witness in. So sometimes if you respectfully read an affidavit, or sometimes the media will lift those languages, and you're reading that front page news, and said, oh, obviously based on that story, it seems like it's straightforward kind of case. But that's just somebody saying those stories. That's not the factual witness that has to say that in the courtroom. So when a witness is called, whether they're the alleged victim or a parent or so-and-so, right? If they're not an eyewitness or factual witness, they didn't see it, they did all of that stuff in some fashion, they're not considered a true witness, and their testimony cannot be taken, right? So when you said sometimes it's a he said, she said kind of thing, sometimes it just comes down to that. And in a serious case, like a SAM case or sexual assault of a minor case or sexual assault of an adult, the jurors have to kind of weigh that thing, right? As I mentioned from the other week, if it's equally balanced, right, that cannot be reasonable doubt, because both are equally believable story. So it has to be beyond a reasonable. It's a much, much higher function. Does that? I hope we kind of roundabout way, but trying to explain why sometimes when you hear a story or read a story, it sounds like, oh, that seems like a very straightforward. But the police report is just what the officer is investigating, and sometimes the story that will actually happen in the actual trial is very different from what was said. And kind of last week I mentioned about, it's a yellow bus, but by the time you get to trial, it's a blue truck, right? And I said, that's not even the same thing, right? So did I answer some of that a little bit?
Yes, somewhat.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess let me follow up with a hypothetical scenario and see if your answer changes. So let's make it a little bit more personal.
Okay.
And hypothetically, right, the case before you is, at this point, you're probably going to recuse yourself, because if it's a family member, I would assume, right? So let's say your daughter, your sister, your niece, right, is, in a case such as that where she is a minor under 15, and, the other party is of age, 18 and up. I understand that the role and the duty of the judge is to carry out the mandates of whatever the law is, right, in practice. But would you still feel the same if that hypothetical scenario applied to you personally?
That's actually because the rules of the conduct, right? To have a conflict, that's why there's a whole, I think, right. I'm sorry, apologies. I think the senator was not with us on that public hearing. But to recuse means you have to have a familial degree, like me, my dad, my grandfather, for example, are like second degree, right? Me, my son, my grandson. And then my wife will be basically, as a married person, you're considered legally the same person. So, for example, my wife or my wife's mom or grandma, and then her child or her grandchild. So within that certain degrees, that would automatically, I can't, even if the best legal mind said, I promise to be 100% objective, the rules account for that and already has to be recused from it. That's the assumption, right? And then the second part where you're kind of saying, how would you feel about that? That's actually not based on the evidence or the lack of evidence, right? It's not about how I feel, it's about the application of the law to the facts.
Yes,
of the case.
and I'm only bringing in the feeling part is because I am trying to relate it to the conflict, right? The conflict of interest, the conflict of, being fair. I think
I'll give you an actual example. I won't mention the name of the case, but basically, once upon a time, a prosecutor said, Judge, you have to recuse yourself from this case. And I said, okay, based on just the filing, I don't see a particular conflict. I said, what is the conflict? And he said, well, your brother has a special relationship with the family of the victim. And I got to be honest, I didn't really understand when he said special relationship. I didn't know if it was something nefarious, something going on with my, I said, okay, who's this brother? Because I have many brothers. And he said, no, we don't want to tell you, you just have to guess. And anyway, I'll fast forward to what it is. Finally, they called the witness and the father of the child and said, oh, he named one of my brothers. And I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. I said, okay, the degree for that person was me. It has to go like by degrees, right? Me, my mom, then to my brother. It's not me and my brother, right? It has to go up to where the familial connection is. Me, my mom, my brother. And my brother's wife, and then my brother's wife's mom, and then my brother's wife's grandma, and then back down to the sister, and then down to the mother of the victim. So that's, by count, I think that's like 7 or 8 degrees removed.
Okay.
And he said, I don't know those people. I mean, we don't socialize in any fashion, but just the sheer degrees of it, it's easy to kind of say, it's a small community, everybody kind of knows each other, but the rules doesn't require my recusal on those by degrees.
Okay.
But also because I don't know them in a personal fashion, it didn't require recusal from my part.
All right. Yes, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
I guess I was just trying to understand from a judge's standpoint, like, you know, what goes on in your head, right? Because a lot of I understand that a lot of times there are things that are pretty straightforward, black and white, right? And we try to comply and adhere to those things as best as we can. And it doesn't really change our perspective until it actually affects us. And then we start saying, wait a minute, right? Now the table has kind of turned, and then we start seeing things differently because it's affecting us directly. So I was just curious as to your thoughts on
at least, I don't know if you answer your question, Senator, but when lawyers disagree, first of all, lawyers, if there was 100 lawyers in a room, there'd be 100 different opinions, right? So, and I mean no disrespect to any particular lawyer. And when lawyers argue, it's not like apples and airplanes, right? Like something so obvious, like that's not even the same thing, right? When lawyers argue and then their opinions disagree, it's by like degrees. By example, maybe blue, like the color blue, right? And they'll argue whether it's Manyagaha blue or Pacific blue or sky blue, right? They agree it's blue, but the shade of blue, they'll argue for hours on end. So sometimes when judges, at some point it's like, it looks in my eye kind of like Manyagaha blue, but a lawyer will disagree. Judge, I'm sorry, that's a deep ocean Pacific blue. And we do our best to make a decision, right? I'm being kind of super simplistic, right? But when they're arguing, we're talking about by not even degrees, like fractions of degrees of what they're disagreeing about. No? So if it's obvious that it's the way the law is written, judges are duty bound to follow that. But sometimes it's just, and in a jurisdiction, the CNMI as old or as young as we are as a Commonwealth, there are still on the books, there's still areas of law that there are no written laws on it. So every once in a while, or maybe more often than we like to admit, cases come before the court, and there's nothing on the books that will speak as to how the decision should go, right? And I don't want to say we just kind of guess it, but we make our best estimate based on the facts. If I can digress a little bit, for example, we have on the books about probate, and the CNMI is very unique, even different from Guam and other jurisdictions. It's one probate code, but it handles if you're a Chamorro, land kind of goes a certain way, right? It gets distributed a certain way. If you're Carolinian, it goes a certain way. And then it's kind of like for everybody else, right? That's not under that classification. So what's not answered in the code is the self-identifier. I'll use myself as an example. My mom is Carolinian and my dad is Chamorro. So depending on what day I feel like, if somebody wanted to use that, like say, oh, today I feel Carolinian, so I get to inherit from grandma, mom saw or something like that, right? And the other days, like I want to get right. So that question hasn't really been answered. How do you self-identify as in the coming, right? We assume that at the time that probate codes were adopted, that people will kind of stay within their community, Carolinian community and Chamorro community, how the land is processed. So that part hasn't been answered, and that's up for the legislature how you identify that, and how do you keep a roster of who's Carolinian or who's Chamorro, right? So people can say, when Joe Camacho passed away, he registered as a, Chamorro, Caribbean, or both, or however way you want to decide. Does that answer a little bit when there's no law specific?
Sumasi, and duly noted on that. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed to provide the judicial branch a clearer guidance, right, as to how to handle the two distinct cultural differences. So, Sumasi, and thank you for your answer. That's all I have, Chair. Are you?
Thank you, Vice President. Recognize Senator Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I just wanted to thank the nominees, those before us, and also the prior nominee. I wanted to thank them also for their responses to my questions on the last two hearings. I feel that based on those responses, I was able to get an understanding of their judicial approach, all the documents presented before me, and also the testimonies on all three hearings. Gave me insight on their experience and ultimately the rule of law applications. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman, but I just wanted to thank them for their years of service and to all those that gave their testimonies.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Recognize Senator Cabo.
Thank you, Chairman. And I would like to thank our nominees, Judge Joseph Norita Camacho, as the associate judge and, the appointee for the presiding judge. Also, Joey Saniclis, also known as JP, attorney at law. We have an enormous amount of, testimonies today that share alongside with the other municipalities of Tinian and Rota and our Saipan representatives, the people here that really spoke highly. These are, from childhood mentorship to professional personnel to prior, colleagues that made probably 3 to 4 months, contact with your profession and so forth. So it's really valued and credible that the Commonwealth gets to hear them denounce their testimonies and shared, confirmation proposals. The one thing that I want to go back, similar to the other nomination, is both of you are extensive in public service experience, without a doubt. Your legal and government expertise, both of you are well-rounded, one from the, criminal justice aspect and learning the history where you develop and you flip to the judiciary. So, and then from the AGs and then the AG's Attorney General, in the voice of the governing system now as an attorney, prosecutor, defendant, and so forth, then becoming a mayor. You're dealing with the municipality of the people and their continued concerns and the passion both of you have for that, in moving up to the next step. Both of you are well-versed with the testimonies as well, familiarity with the common law, the covenant, the Constitution, the leadership in your profession and the administration. We have lawyers here testifying on both behalf. The community, their understanding of your background, your roots, and your Northern Marianas descent, and how you went abroad, going abroad, and our return in investment for the Commonwealth, coming back, mentoring other people to come back, and that return to help and serve the people of the Commonwealth. So without further ado, I do not have any questions. I bid you to very well. And, you know, like the other lawyer mentioned, you know, all three are constituting members and committed to the next level in transition. So I commend you for your opportunity in taking this position at hand under challenging times for our Commonwealth and our world, global world. And we do look forward to you know, a positive outcome. Thank you too. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cabo. Now I would like to recognize Floor Leader Donna Manglonia.
Thank you, Chairman Cruz, and good afternoon to the nominees, you know, before us. I just want to thank the public, the general public, as well as those people from the legal community, as well as your family and friends who came out and showed their support for your nomination to fill these two roles. However, according to the LA, there was only one entity or individual that provided their concerns over the nomination, and as I've stated, Judge Camacho and Rhoda and Tinian, I would kind of bring that up today, but I wanted to kind of generalize the issues that were brought up in the letter from the AG, and I think this is something that also Attorney St. Nicholas can respond to, and that is really in one of the cases the AG's office had provided. It was found that your ruling, Judge Camacho, effectively created a legal gap that the legislature did not intend. And so the general question there would be, how would you define the boundary between judicial interpretation and judicial lawmaking?
Can I answer, if you don't mind, Senator? Let me see. I think that's the Langu case you're talking about.
Yeah.
In the Langu case, the legislature, going back to the way the legislature defined sexual assault and sexual abuse cases was the center point, the starting point is the age of the victim. 18 and up was on the category of sexual assault, right? And anything under 17 and lower, it basically defined the starting point is that it's a sexual abuse of a minor, because a minor cannot consent to sex, right? It's fair. And then, if I remember the case, there is, at least at the time, there was an exception to allow, if you're 16 or 17, and you want kind of Romeo and Juliet, I guess, because you look like a high school sweetheart, and then all of a sudden, the boyfriend or the girlfriend becomes 18, right, for example. Then now it creates that they're having sexual relations, right? So it created an exception for that. But in creating that exception, what happened was it inadvertently left out what if there was no consent between the 16, 17-year-old with somebody that was 18, 19, or 20. And that's where the gap is. Based on the way the legislature drafted the legislation at that time, the starting point is the age of the victim. No? If you're 18 and older, the category should be under the sexual assault of basically an adult. If the victim is under 18, the category of the code, the criminal code, should be under sexual assault of a minor. In that weird space where it was inadvertently left out because there was no consent, it was not in the category of the high school sweetheart kind of thing. No, the sexual assault of an adult with a minor in that age gap was not covered in the code. So there is a gap. Because I followed what the legislature drafted, right? It didn't fit into any of those categories. And it got appealed. And the Supreme Court did, and I'm not trying to overturn, they decided the way they wanted to decide. Took as sexual assault, the 18-year-old category, and plugged the hole in the sexual abuse of a minor. Okay? If I decided the other way around, the Supreme Court could say, good job, or they could have said, well, you didn't follow the legislative, sentencing scheme, right, the statutory scheme. It could have gone either way, but I said, I will follow what the legislature said, where there is a gap. And then the Supreme Court said, no, just take the sexual assault and plug the hole. And I know that there's a hole because soon after that, the legislature, if you read the sexual abuse of a minor, I think third degree and fourth degree have now been changed to plug that hole, right? So there was a hole, what the Supreme Court argued, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, right? I'm a soldier too, we follow whatever they tell me, right? But they plugged that hole, no, respectfully. So, yeah, that's one of those things. It's a tough call. It could have said, no, we'll plug that hole, we'll just use, but it's not under the same category. I don't know. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate your response to that. Attorney San Nicolas, how would you handle situations where you're put into that position where you would have to, rely on what's interpreted versus the intention versus how you would basically set precedents on any gaps?
Thank you, Senator Mangloni, for that question. Just first of all, at the outset, allow me to read a portion of the NMI Code of Judicial Conduct, which speaks to, how judges, and again, I'm not a judge, but out of an abundance of caution, I am relying on the NMI Code of Judicial Conduct, Rule 2.10, regarding judicial statements on pending and impending cases. B, a judge shall not, in connection with cases, controversies, or issues that are likely to come before the court, make pledges, promises, or commitments that are inconsistent with the impartial performance of the adjudicative duties of judicial office. So if you're taking note, it's Rule 2.10B, and that's the shall part. There's also a may part, A, but I'm relying on 2.10B. So with that, what I can say is that a judge must follow the Constitution, the statutes, and precedent. Beyond that, I don't feel it's appropriate for me to speak as to how I would rule on a particular matter. And to be really frank, I have no personal knowledge with respect to the cases that were referenced in AG Manibusan's letter. I do respect that as a citizen, let alone the Attorney General, he certainly has every right to submit his opinion on matters before the legislature, and the matter being the appointment of individuals to serve on the bench is within his realm. He is a citizen of the Commonwealth and has every right to do so, and I respect that. I note that there are others, I've been informed, that have provided input as to the qualification of all three judges, all two judges and the nominee for judgeship, and I respect that. So the process is something that I have nothing but respect for, regardless of what position anyone takes. It's the fact that one took the initiative to do their civic duty, to come forward and make a comment, either way, whether in favor or not in favor.
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to kind of generalize the question and not kind of call anybody out, but then these are some concerns that were raised, and I just wanted to see what would be that general response to situations where, sometimes a ruling may be called into question, or the judge's intent, or maybe feelings towards whether it be an AAG or any other person for that matter. But that kind of also brings me to my next question. Again, it's just an issue that was cited in one of the cases, but I'm not trying to point out any case, or just a general response to if a question were to be asked, how do you respond to concerns about the consistency in your ruling when it comes to the different types of cases? And maybe you may rule about one type of case on a SAM's case this way, and then the next time it'll be more harsh. How do you respond to concerns about consistency with your rulings?
You're referring to the question to me, Senator?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, of the 5 different cases that you're referring to, they're all different issues, right? So it's not, when the question was, when the Supreme Court makes a ruling, let's put it this way. What has force of law is when you have a bill that's passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. That has force of law. Judges are bound to follow that law, right? Unless it conflicts with the Constitution, right? And then when the Supreme Court makes a ruling on an issue, that has force of law, right? attorneys, 100 attorneys, I said, have opinions and they have no force of law. Okay, so I hope that's clear enough, right? So I don't, any attorney, right? Whether government attorney or private attorney, their opinions about issues is just an opinion. It doesn't have the force of law unless it goes through that process that I just described. Now, if you're referring to those 5 cases that are cited, when the Supreme Court makes a ruling, right, I'm duty bound to follow that ruling. We mentioned about the Lango case, right? Eventually the legislature plugged that hole by amending the law, so that's an issue. It's not making the same, I disagree with the Supreme Court and I'll just keep making the same ruling. That's not what we're talking about. You know? So I'm not sure if you want to touch on the other 4 cases or not, but they're all different issues. If you generally, they're SAM cases, sexual assault of a minor cases. They're SAM cases, but they're different issues that are right. Does that make sense to you? So, yes. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe because you're asking, it's not the same mistake over. It's every case. Like I said, I've had hundreds of trials, all right? Sometimes the jury rules a certain way and, like I said, one side is not happy and the other side is walking out happy, right? So those are not necessarily, I don't know. I'm trying to catch what you're
maybe
trying
in generally, does judicious consultation happen regularly before making a ruling, or is this something that you kind of just...
I mean, of course, there's nothing stopping a judge from saying, that's a tough decision. And I'm not too proud to ask other judges that there's this legal issue that's coming up, something like, what are your thoughts on? But ultimately, it's still my decision, right? I can't blame Judge so-and-so told me that this is the way to rule. But it's good to get some kind of feedback in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's very different than, we're not, as judges, we're not allowed, for the same reason, we're not allowed to go to the Supreme Court and say, how would you rule if I went to this, right? Because those are hypothetical things, and they'll say exactly what, JP will say, that, we're not allowed to give, to telegraph to you that this is how I would rule in that fashion, right? Yeah. No, because the way, when you ask me about the Lango case, that's something specific in my recollection, this is what happened. But when the question is applied to JP, you're asking him to give a commitment how he would rule on cases that are not necessarily before him in that fashion.
Thank you. No, I appreciate your response to that question. Again, those are just 2 of the things I wanted to pull out from just all of the cases that were provided by the AG's office. But kind of just shifting gears a little bit, how often do presiding judgeship rotate within the other jurisdiction? Is this something that is similar to the CNMI, where once you're appointed, you kind of serve
that is true.
That position?
The Guam passed a law very different from us. The Supreme Court, the Chief Justice rotates every 3 years, right? There's only 3 members, so among the 3, you can't have double terms back to back, but they can vote on that. The law applies to the presiding judge in Guam also, but they grandfathered Judge Lamarena in because he was already a presiding judge. If and when he retires, then they will also rotate internally. But that's a specific Guam law. That the CNMI doesn't follow that format. And most jurisdictions, I would assume, don't really follow that format. Yeah.
But I guess in the CNMI's case, is it something that the Superior Court will just have to maybe adopt internally, or is it something that needs to be changed by statute? And the reason I ask this is just, again, this is a rare moment where we've seen all these positions becoming vacant, and so in the event of another position within the Supreme Court being vacant, is it typically a practice that we maybe appoint the presiding judge to fill that position, or how do we get other judges to be able to maybe build that experience in order to be appointed into the Supreme Court, if that were the case? Because in this case, right, it was...
if you're just talking about the mechanism, right, whether or not you pass legislation, whether there's a rotation, that's a policy decision that the legislature has to take that up. If you're just talking what the current system is, for example, the governor nominated the presiding judge, Naroha, to be as an associate judge. That's a very specific nomination, right? If by, I don't want to say something would happen to Chief Justice Castro, but hypothetically, if that vacancy created, he can't switch to just the, you need to get a governor to nominate for the position of Chief Justice. Same for myself, for example, being nominated for the presiding judge. I'm not asking the senators to do this, but they can't kind of like, oh, well, we prefer Judge Camacho to be the associate justice, right? Kind of leapfrog, because my nomination is specific to the presiding judge. Same for JP too, right? So, yeah, that's the current system. If you want to change that, that's a decision the legislature would have to decide on how to do that. So the vacancy is filled specifically by the nomination of what the nomination, as opposed to just we nominate you and just kind of let the Senate figure out what position to fill in.
No, thank you. I'm not trying to, say that I don't think you should sit in this role until you decide to retire or resign, but just as a matter of rotation, or whether it be something that could be done internally and not have to go through statute, or if it's something that we would need to consider. And I just thought of, just thinking of this and seeing how long PJ Naraha has had in that position, and we thank him for his service and his dedication, but is that something that we're going to see from you? Is that another 20-some years without maybe giving other judges the opportunity to fill that role and kind of just
I'm kind of
expose the
happy you're
judges
saying
to
I
the
will be
different-
there for 20 years, but I know, Senator.
Right.
But if you're talking about as a matter of policy, whether the rotation is a good or not a good system, maybe the closest thing you can request some feedback from the Guam Supreme Court, because they're already doing that. I'm sure there's trade-offs, right? It's nice to get fresh, energy in there and then rotating that, or maybe they said like every different manager is different and the way they would run the system. But I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, right? But maybe that's probably the closest thing you can get feedback, whether that system works or not. It's the system they adopted. We haven't adopted that, so
Okay.
I don't know. That.
Thank you. I just want to see what your thoughts are on
Yeah.
that, because like I said, 20,
Yeah, I mean,
24 years is a long time,
even if I were to like, don't worry about it, Senator. We're gonna, every few years we'll just kind of appoint among ourselves who's the presiding judge. The law wouldn't allow me because that's not the law. That's we have to follow that subject to the legislature doing something different.
Okay, thank you. And it's
But I
something
can
for us to
give you
consider.
maybe a safety valve. Internally within the judiciary, both the Supreme Court and the Superior Court, there are the Judicial Council, which is the internal management, administrative council, the Judicial Council. So the Chief Justice, the two associate justices are automatic members on that, and then the presiding judge is an automatic member of the Judicial Council because they're basically part of the management thing. And then there's one spot that has to be among the four associate justices, the four associate judges. They vote among themselves who will represent them for that fifth seat to sit on that. And currently, I occupy that position. I'm part of the Judicial Council, which pass, standard operating procedures, rules and regulations that are internal into the. And when I say internal, meaning what's happening is from time to time you get those rules, proposed rules. That's something different that requires the legislature to either stamp or approve them. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about internally we can pass certain rules that how certain things should be conducted. So in that sense, it's not quite what you're looking for, but that position can rotate among the different judges that they'll vote each other and said, I've been doing it for a long time. Maybe you need to be part of the management and administration of the justice. I don't know if that helps a little bit or not.
No, thank you. Yeah, just something to give us something to think about in terms of how we want to move forward, or whether or not current processes need a little modification to kind of maybe fit with the times, or even allow for other judges to have that opportunity to oversee and manage the administration of the courts. And so I think that was all I had. Again, we rely heavily on a lot of these testimonies that we've received from the community, as well as those people within your legal profession, because that's not something that we're sometimes it's something that we may be unfamiliar with in terms of what goes on in the legal system and the judicial system. But again, to everyone who came out and expressed their support of both your appointment to these positions, I thank them for their input, and that is all I have for now, and I thank you both for your responses here today.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Now I'd like to recognize Vice Chairman of Senate.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Chairman. Jesus Masino, Judge Joe Komatsu, and nominee JP San Nicolas for your patience. I do know that as unique, the process of the uniqueness of this appointments been mentioned earlier. Also, the time and the efforts that you and your families and the supporters that's accompanying you to all three islands. I thought that was very very important that the Senate bring it forth to the community. And I would like to say, just fast forward to today, if we're about to count the number of public or oral testimony, there's about 30 or some. Just oral, because you multiply that by 2. Just one person representing both. And then I believe there's like over 40 in written, plus the petition. So it's an overwhelming show of support from the public that took the time to endorse both nominees and of course our associate justice nominee this morning. And that's it's overwhelming for us. Also as advice and consent body. I want to thank both of you of really highlighting a lot of your test statements. You know, with you, Judge, you've been serving for, I know you've been serving for a while, and you have a lot of stories to share and views, and we appreciate that because you also enlighten us on what are the going-ons with the way you preside over, and of course not limited to a very experienced attorney in Joey and JP. But I really appreciate the fairness, the temperament, the statement liberally, a breadth of every legal experience that you both possess. You guys go out of your way on top of your legal responsibility to do outreach to the community, and that's commendable, and I really appreciate that. You know, seeing all that, uniquely qualified, dedicated, and so all those are attributes of as a voting member. It allows me to come to my senses that after 3 hearings and after 3 presentation for both. I'm prepared to move forward. I'm gonna request the chair that I would be using my time here. If anything, Judge, because you've been rendering, you've been presiding over, maybe just one piece of question, and if it's okay with you, respectfully, as far as the bail hearings on any. In this case, a defendant. What determines whether a judge would render a property versus cash bail to allow? I mean, is there a rules and procedure guidance in the?
Yes, I think it's in the rules.
Okay,
Senator. Generally, because a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law,
sure,
notwithstanding that they're being charged with a crime, right? So a person, unlike the federal rules, in the local rules, a defendant can ask for bail modification every 24 hours because it leans to, so sometimes, we'll just use an example. A person is arrested, it's a serious crime, maybe it's a $20,000 bail, right? There's a schedule of bail, roughly correlating with how serious the crime is, and there's a dollar amount. So the person comes in, if I say land-rich cash pure, right, there's families that have land, but they don't have liquid cash to post. So they'll make a bail request to modify the bail. In lieu of cash money, they'll ask if we can put up the land, right? One, they have to have, they can't be on mortgage land or collateral at the bank or something. It has to be basically free and clear, because the court's not in the business of auctioning out land or anything. We just want to make sure that the person is not going to flee the jurisdiction. There's an incentive either through the money or through the land that this is kind of on the hook, so to speak. So it's the idea is try to get the person out on bail, right? Because if they're working, you know, or have medical issues they have, or any number of others, if they have medical issues while they're in custody, Department of Correction is responsible for them to go get their dialysis and things like that. So it can, at some point, it gets very costly the longer they're in there. Or a person is in custody, they may lose their job, things like that. So it leans, that the way the rules are drafted, it leans to the presumption that they're innocent and they should be out on bail. Now, as to the amount of money, if they don't find that we don't have money, then they'll find somebody that's a suitable third-party custodian, somebody that's able to watch them, monitor them, be the eyes and ears of the court, bring them to the courthouse when their hearing is supposed to be there, and monitor as best as possible to keep them out of trouble, pending their actual trial, right? Because sometimes the trial happens many, many months later before the actual trial. I hope that answers a little bit.
I think just to kind of clear.
Yeah. Can I add on that?
Absolutely.
One of the, I've seen it happen, especially if they're coming from Roda and Tinian, that they get arrested in Tinian or even Roda, and they brought to Saipan, and then they'll have a bail modification, right? Can you release him out on, you know, either to a third-party custodian, property bond, or a reduced percentage of the 10% of the cash, for example, and then I sign an order, for example, and the person is, the order sent over to DOC, and then they're released, but they just kind of unlock the door, and maybe, I don't want to push, they push them out, but like, you cannot be here anymore because you're already released pending the actual trial. But if they're coming from Rodentinian, DOC is not in the position to find a plane ticket or something to go back to Rodentinian or anything like that.
Yeah, that's something that we're trying to wrap our head around with.
Yeah. I mean, it's different if you're on Saipan, then, you know, it's like even if you live in Kangman, you could maybe technically hitch a ride or walk over there, but it's very different for the, I feel for the people of Rodentinian in that way, because sometimes, you know, Uncle or Auntie will fly to Saipan, but that's already one ticket, and then buy 2 tickets, fly down again, right? So that's a lot of money, and that's also, even judges consider that. Sometimes they're like, you don't have to post the bail, but you have a suitable third-party custodian, Uncle so-and-so will be the one, but they have to physically come here and escort you back down so you don't stray and do something else, right?
Got it.
So,
Thank you for that clarification, Judge. I don't have nothing further. I just wanted to kind of flag that one question out, but I don't have any other than to thank you both for sticking with the process. I know it's pushing, and I believe the AOB's aircon shuts down at 5, so we're gonna get a move on here. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield back, and thank you all for your time. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Any other members that wishes to for the second round? Thank you. And again, I appreciate Associate Judge Sakamatsu and Attorney JP for complying with the Senate code to when we conduct all the public hearings in the 03 Senatorial District. It is because we want our general public to be part of this due process of the Senate. We want to be as transparent as possible for the general public to come in and see how we do the process, as well as giving them the opportunity to testify, either they're in support or not in support. So we're giving them the opportunity for them to be part of this advice and consent. And I will repeat what I mentioned in the island of Tinian, that since we are given the advice and consent under the Constitution, so this is my advice, and I'm pretty sure the members will agree to this, that you must always be independent of external pressure, including political or media influence, and make decisions based solely on the law and relevant facts, because it is very, extremely important for protecting people's rights and ensuring equal treatment to everyone. So that's my final statement for today. So I again appreciate completing all the 3 public hearings. And at this time, all public comments are well taken. Let the record reflect that all written testimonies will be included in Senate Standing Committee recommendation report, along with oral testimonies, and will be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation or rejection. And at this time, before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of the Standing Committee of the EAGI our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Governor David M. Appointee and Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola, Mendiola's representative, Mr. John Paul Regis, the appointees, Judge Joseph James N. Kamatsu, and Attorney Joey Patrick San Nicolas, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public, to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to the public best interest. This concludes this public hearing for today. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and was seconded for adjournment. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. This public hearing for today is officially adjourned. Sisos Masit.